Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over a very simple to use circuit template which I use. It can be done almost anywhere with very little equipment, so I thought it would be great to share with you guys while stuck at home but wanting to stay fit. Let's get into it. So I picked this structure up from when I used to box, and it entails constant movement with bursts of sprints and exercises, which is basically high intensity interval training or HIIT, which is really great for cardio development or fat loss. A guy called Pavel Tsatsouline, who kind of brought the kettlebell to Western society, and he knows a lot about fitness and the science behind it. He said your heart already has the hardest endurance task by beating all day every day, and so this kind of shows that HIIT is really good for cardio and fat loss, just the kind of intensity of it. I do this routine with my family quite regularly, and it tends to take about 40 minutes to an hour and a half depending on how many sets you do. So the template covers a push, pull, legs and core split, so you'll work your whole body. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this already in the gym and stuff like that. So first you'll want to warm up properly. You really want your heart racing. You want to get your stretches in, mobilise your joints so you're ready for this. And I could go over that in another video. A good way to get your heart racing is jumping jacks. I know it's very simple, but just 30 star jumps or jumping jacks and you will be ready. You will then go on to 2 minutes or 3 minutes of cardio, depending on how hard you want it to be. And then I tend to alternate between high knees and kick-ups or high heels, just to mix it up. In the middle of this cardio, you will do a sprint for 10 to 30 seconds, whatever you feel like. And then after that, you'll do 10 reps of your pull exercise, and then back to the cardio. And then you'll do 10 reps on each leg of lunges, and then back to cardio. 10 reps of push exercise, back to cardio, 10 reps of squats, back to cardio, and then 10 reps of core, and then your final cardio. So you kind of get the gist of it, and I will go over to this in more depth in just a moment. And I know this can sound quite daunting, it's a lot of exercises, you know, you're not really resting, but I will now go over progressions for each exercise to make it kind of adapted to your level. So I'm going to go over all the progressions for these exercises so that everyone can take part. I mean, that's the key thing here, because I said in the last video, and it is true, if you start something new, you're not going to be great at it. And even if you do these circuits with someone who's got a higher skill level or strength level, you can still take part and go as long and as fast as they do. It's kind of the key is just to change the progressions for the exercises and the cardio, so that you can improve at the rate that you need to improve. I do find with the pull exercises it can be a bit more demanding on equipment. However, you can still start with just a resistance band. You can do resistance rows, which are great. They'll completely work your upper back. As long as you keep your back straight, your elbows in and your shoulders want to come together. And then of course you increase the difficulty by just getting the resistance to the band a little bit higher. You can then move on to body rows. I tend to do this with a dip bar at the moment, but you can do it with a table, a chair, kind of a mounted bar. What I've done in the past is get 2 chairs and then put a plank in the middle, resting on them, and then you can just row on that, and it's great. And that will work your upper back as well. And it's the same thing, just keep your elbows in and your shoulder blades need to contract together. To make this harder, you want to become more parallel, so raise your feet. Because in a pull-up, which is what this is emulating, you're going to be completely straight. And once you can do that, you can go into an assisted pull-up with the same resistance bands. To make that harder, you just reduce the resistance of the bands, so you're getting less support. And then eventually you can move on to a pull-up, and then even a weighted pull-up if you're comfortable with that. And that's a really good level to be at to do 10 reps for. So with the push exercises, obviously the most common is a push-up. However, I think people underestimate how hard it can be, and making sure the technique is right. So if you want to start from the beginner, complete zero is a wall push-up. You've got a lot of support, and it's a great way to learn technique and form and get the strength that you need. Just make sure with this that your body is completely straight. I find going on tiptoes helps with that, and you want to keep your elbows in. And a great tip that I've picked up is something called torque, where you want to push your hands out without actually moving them, so you're just kind of creating tension, and you'll find that your elbows kind of pop in a little bit, and that's great. It'll keep your elbows in and you'll really work the chest and the triceps, which is what you're going for. Once you've kind of got that down, you can go on to kind of elevated push-up, where your hands are on like a chair, a table, or as in this clip I'm on a sofa, and this will make it a lot more easier than a normal push-up, but you're still getting more and more parallel, which is the aim. And then you can move on to the push-up, and same thing, you keep your elbows in, your body straight, so you've already learned all the form, and then you're ready to go on your legs raised, or I tend to add an explosive element, kind of a clap push-up, or you know, people do these crazy things where they clap behind them. I can't do that yet, but this explosive element is really great for sports like martial arts or anything with kind of a fast pace like rugby, football. I'm sure you can add it into pretty much everything. You can also add weight though if you're kind of going for more hypertrophy and muscle kind of growth, but either is great, and you just want to get that 10 reps is really good. So the leg exercises that I do are lunges and squats. I think this works your complete lower body, and with the addition of lunges it's really great for functional strength in sports. So I think the key with this, because most people will be able to do an air squat, is just getting your technique completely down. If you can't do an air squat, or a squat, just a normal squat is what I mean by that, you can do something called a box squat, where you're kind of stood just above a sofa or a chair or a box, and you just squat onto it and you sit down and then you come back up, and this is a great way to learn form as well. So the form, the key is just keep your back straight, your legs just a little bit more than shoulder width apart, your feet want to be either straight on or slightly outwards, they don't want to be in at all, and you just want to drive your knees out, because if your knees come in you're going to collapse and you might get hurt. So drive your knees out and you'll be absolutely fine. To make these harder, similar to the push exercises, you can add explosive elements like jumping, which is what I tend to do. Jumping, lunges and squats are really great for cardio as well, so it will push it out and it's hard, but it's really good, especially the lunges, because you're on those kind of that stance that you're going to be in a lot of situations. It's very functional, which is what I really like about it. You can also add weight to it with a vest, or you're holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell, anything like that works really well. And then you can also add calf raises in to your squat, so you literally just go on your tiptoes at the top, and that's going to work your calves, so your whole leg is going to be developed, which is really good. Finally, for core, I don't really like sit-ups at all. I find it hurts my back, there's a lot of unnecessary spinal strain, and the hinge isn't really what you're trying to work at the top. So crunches are really what I enjoy, and it's kind of almost half a sit-up where you're just going to get the benefits of the core exercise and that's it. To make this harder, you can raise your arms and your legs in the air, which is called the hollow body position, which is what they do in gymnastics. It's just completely you supporting yourself. You can also add weight by holding a kettlebell or a dumbbell on your chest. And if this is all too hard and it's kind of hard to stabilize and you're moving about a bit, you can get someone to hold your feet, or you can put some weights on there, which is really good when you're beginning to get that stability. Leg raises are also really good for core, and it will work your lower abs really well, which I know is quite tricky to develop. But you can do either of these, and there's loads of core exercises out there that you can do. You can also do like a hanging leg raise, which is really good, or on a dip bar. If you're supporting yourself, you can do a leg raise. But another thing to add in is maybe your obliques. On the crunches, you can add a twist at the top, which I will show, and that will work with the side of your abs and get that kind of developed. And then on the leg raise, you can also on the top move your legs side to side, which can be tricky mobility wise, but really good exercise for stability and functional strength. So I do plan to create a series on a lot of exercises, all the kind of key exercises and all the form and progressions of them, because that's what I'm kind of interested in as well. And if anyone shows interest in that, I'll bring that a little bit closer forward. Any specific exercises that people want me to go into more, I'd love to do that. So on the screen now is a table that I've drawn up of example workouts for beginner, intermediate and advanced. Obviously these are all just kind of examples and just rough templates. What you really need to do is just work around what are your strengths and weaknesses. Anyway, for the cardio, for the beginner, it just starts with a 1 minute jog and then a 5 to 10 second sprint, and then a 1 minute jog again. Intermediate is very similar. It's a 15 to 20 second sprint instead. And then the advanced, I've done a 20 second jog and then a 10 second sprint. And then you're just going to repeat that for the duration of your cardio routine. And that will put you in this constant HIIT routine, and it's really great, really good for cardio. So we'll go on to the pull exercises. For the beginners, I've done 10 resistance band rows, and then for the intermediate, 10 body rows. Obviously on your dip bar or whatever I went through earlier. And then for the advanced, 10 pull-ups, and you can add weight to that if you wish. And then for the cardio, it's the same. It's the same all the way through. You can just do cardio between each exercise, basically. So for the legs, I do squats first. For the beginners, if you can add calf raises, that's really good at the beginning, but I know it can be tricky for mobility if you're struggling with technique already. On to the intermediate, 10 jumping squats, and then advanced, I've done 10 weighted squats. This can be adjusted because you can do 10 weighted squats at intermediate kind of level. You just probably want to reduce the weight. And then you can also do jumping squats at advanced, but maybe have weight as well. And this is the same for everything. There's going to be probably an explosive element or a weighted element at the kind of advanced intermediate level. And you want to choose the weighted one if you're kind of more on muscle growth and kind of getting that hypertrophy. And then more the explosive one if you kind of want to get that endurance, you want to get the functional strength more if you're training for a specific sport or activity. So then we go on to the cardio again, and then on to the push. For beginners, I've done 10 wall / elevated push-ups. Whatever works for you, just make sure you're just keeping that technique really correct and perfect and the form really nice, so you can just develop the strength. Intermediate, you can just go on to your 10 push-ups and then raise your legs eventually. And then advanced, I've done 10 clap push-ups, but the same with the squats. If you want to add weight instead, that's absolutely fine. And then you want to go on to your next cardio. And then your next leg exercise is 10 lunges for beginners. You just want to start with lunges. It's quite tricky at the beginning technique-wise. Even I struggle every now and again. So you just want to take it nice and slow. Intermediate, I've done 10 jumping lunges, each side obviously, for all of this. And then advanced, 10 weighted lunges, same with everything else. You can do weighted jumping lunges, you can do lower weighted if you're intermediate, it's absolutely fine. Then your cardio exercise, and then finally for the exercise you want to do core. Beginner, I've done 10 crunches or leg raises. Like I said, you can get someone to hold your legs down. With the leg raises, just you want to have your arms spread out and just kind of grasped onto the floor, and then you can just focus on your leg raises and kind of tensing those abs. You can then go on to 10 hollow body crunches, or with the leg raises, if you're sticking with that, you can do a kind of a dip leg raise where you're in a dip position at the top and you're just raising your legs, or you can do like a hanging leg raise. Finally, your leg raises for the advanced level, you kind of want to be hanging, but maybe adding another element of movement. So you want to be kind of circling your legs at the top, really working that mobility and just staying in that kind of hard position and just supporting it really well. For the crunches at the advanced, I tend to do hollow body crunches with weight on my chest as well. And then if you want to do the twist with the weight, that's great. You can then bring it off your chest and hold it with your arms and twist, a Russian twist it's called. That'll really work your obliques really nicely. Finally, you've got your cardio. And on the last one, I like to increase the sprint at whatever level you're at by maybe 10 seconds and just push out that last bit of energy that you've got, because it's all about intensity and you've just done a really good exercise and now you've got a little bit more rest before you start your next set. So that's the template. I will attach a PDF or some sort of link to this in the description so you guys can print it off for where you start at, but just make sure to stick to this for whatever level you're at, whatever strength level you're at, and then you can just progress through it really nicely. The circuit that I do, I tend to do 3 to 5 sets with about 3 to 10 minutes rest. And the 10 minutes rest sounds like a lot, but it's really worth it for circuits. That same guy, Pavel Tsatsouline, he kind of showed that when you're doing circuits, you want to rest for even up to 15 minutes because you've just worked your whole body in a really intense situation, and you don't want to go back to there and perform worse because your rest is really short. I tend to just keep moving in my rest and then go back to it when your muscles feel pretty okay and they feel almost back to normal. and then you can go back there and perform and kind of build up that strength and skill and technique just as you want to. I tend to do this first thing when I'm fasted in the morning, so I'll burn more fat because I'm in ketosis, but it can be done whenever suits you. Just make sure to push yourself in this routine because it is about constant kind of intense movement, and that's why it doesn't really take as long as maybe other things do because it is really intense. And each kind of set tends to take 15-10 minutes, it really varies. But once you really get into it and you're kind of got it ingrained, the routine, and you should be able to bang it out pretty quickly. I will do a follow along video if people would like that, so they can follow along as I do it. But you know, I'm not sure if people would find that useful, but if you do, I'd be really up for doing that as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this workout helps you guys stay fit and almost try something new while stuck at home. I would love to see any feedback, and please leave a comment or subscribe if you're interested in this content. Thanks again, and I will see you soon. Bye.